The San Francisco 49ers have made it down to 53 men for their initial roster in 2025. Expect changes. What are those changes going to be? And what were the most shocking moves on cutdown day? Coming up on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you as always at BD Peacock, at Coach Crocky. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Love and appreciate all the everydayers out there. Thanks for hanging with us. Wouldn't be here without our core audience. And if you're new to the program, welcome. Hit that subscribe button and hang out with us as we break down the 49ers every single day. And 2 new shows per week now joining the programming on Locked On 49ers, Locked On 49ers Squads. Had a really good time post-game doing the first one. We're going to have another one this week, and then we'll be going twice a week as well. And, of course, me and Croc not going anywhere. And you know what else is not going anywhere? That is Winky Wednesdays.
Nicholas Winkler, come on down.
Today's guest, as is the case every Wednesday, usually we record it Tuesday night. And so we're live here because it's roster cut down day with Nicholas Winkler, my former radio colleague and podcast co-host from back in the day. And the voice of the fantasy is sometimes known. And I can't wait to hear what you say about the 49ers rolling just without one of the specialists, just no punter. That's one of the big shocking moves here. So we will get to all of those things, guys. And I think what we have to do here to start is start with the cuts, with the moves. And I think the 2 biggest ones that were the bubble players, the undrafted rookies, one in, one out, that I think I'll start with here as my biggest surprises. We can kind of go around and talk about some of the things that we thought we saw there, and we'll name everybody who's on the current 49ers 53 and who didn't make it. But rookie offensive lineman Drew Moss made the team at the expense of veteran Nick Zakelj. And Nick Zakelj was like almost starting to become like the new Dante Johnson, where it's like, this guy's just going to stick around for a long time, isn't he? Nick Zakelj was waived, and undrafted rookie Drew Moss made the squad. And conversely, on the other side, a guy that I thought you couldn't cut because he'll get snapped up on waivers, and we'll see if he does. I felt the same way about both Drew Moss and defensive tackle Sebastian Valdez. Valdez did not make the team. We'll see if he makes it through waivers. Certainly a practice squad candidate if he does come back, but he might have put too much good preseason tape out there for the rest of the league to let him go. Now, the 49ers might make a ton of moves, and we'll get to all those things next. But of the moves made today, guys, and Wink, just behind the scenes, Croc just mowed down a hamburger or something in like 30 seconds. I'm going to give him 1 extra minute. So, Nick, I'm going to go to you first. What was your biggest shocker of the day? What are your thoughts about the 49ers? Your big thoughts about the 49ers 53 before we go through all of them?
Bold strategy by the 49ers this season, going without a punter. I mean, you know, what they trust their offense that much that they're just going to be like, we're never going to punt the ball. Let's go and punt this guy. We're good. Now, maybe they're like, let's get the most out of Moody. Let's have him punt now as well. No, I mean, obviously that's a transitional move. They're going to bring Morstead back. Not a big deal. But to me, I think it was Valdez, because like you said, he put a lot of great stuff down on tape. And I really thought that he was going to make this squad, and he wasn't going to be a starter, but I thought he'd be in the rotation. I thought he'd get some run, and a little bit surprising. I don't think he's going to make it through waivers. I'd be shocked if he's back with the 49ers. I hope he does. I really do.
I'm pretty sure we all know that the 49ers are bringing Morstead back, but the interesting thing from the business side of things for him is because they waived him and they'll bring him back, his contract for the rest of the season is not guaranteed.
Wow.
So
that strategy.
And yeah, you know what? Let's go to the list of the guys who were released first. So if you're a veteran in the NFL, you don't get waived. You're on waivers if you're on a rookie contract. So you have to go through the rest of the league for 24 hours. We'll find out tomorrow who passed through waivers and if the 49ers picked up anybody and claimed anybody on waivers, because the 49ers have a very high waiver claim this year, as they earned a top 11 pick. So they'll be 11th in the waiver claim order. And so they might have an opportunity to get one of the players they like that was waived by another football team. But we'll start with the guys who were released because they're not subject to waivers and they can sign with the team at any time. And I do believe, guys, that there might be some wink, handshake deals behind the scenes, and Thomas Morstead being one of those, just so the 49ers could get some extra roster spots to do what they need to do, maybe put some guys on some injured lists to create some new spots to bring those guys back. Clearly, the 49ers aren't going to roll without a punter, and Thomas Morstead even tweeted the Aaron Rodgers, RELAX, relax, to let people know that, yeah, he's coming back. So Thomas Morstead obviously going to come back. The 49ers making that maneuver to circumvent the 53, give him 54 for now, and they'll bring back Thomas Morstead after they create some room. But I think they're going to have to create more room than just one spot for Thomas Morstead, too, because they're a little bit light on wide receivers, guys. So let's go through the list of the players, the veteran players, the ones that were released. And I think we will see a lot of these names, both from the waived and released players that are going to be back on the practice squad and maybe even just signed back to the 53-man roster and have a uniform potentially in week 1. So the players released: wide receivers Robbie Chosen and Russell Gage, Isaiah Hodgins and Malik Turner as well. So they released a ton of wide receivers, 2 healthy wide receivers currently, and we'll go through the final 53 in a second. Offensive lineman Michael Dunn was released. Defensive lineman Jonathan Garvin, Trevis Gibson, and Bruce Hector. Trevis Gibson of those D linemen was one that I thought had a really good opportunity. I'm sure they saw enough that they like to bring him back to at least the practice squad for the 49ers if he doesn't get work elsewhere. Fabian Moreau, cornerback, linebackers Chaz Surratt and Curtis Robinson, which was probably one of the bigger surprises as well, that Curtis Robinson is a player that the 49ers like a lot, core special teamer, came back, had a really nice preseason game there in week number 3, but they only kept 5 linebackers. So Curtis Robinson was released. And veteran running back Jeff Wilson Jr. also released. That one's not a shocker for me. Jeff Wilson was like 0% chance to make the final 53, 100% chance to come back and play for the 49ers at some point this season. That's the way I feel about Jeff Wilson Jr. And I kind of feel similarly about the 100% chance of, obviously Thomas Morstead, but Curtis Robinson and either one of, and potentially both, Russell Gage and Robbie Chosen to be back on the roster for the 49ers because, guys, they're just a little bit light at the wide receiver position. Did any of those veterans surprise you?
Yes, definitely for me. I mean, releasing all 3 of Robbie Chosen, Isaiah Hodgins, and Gage, said, well, okay, what does that receiver room look like for the 49ers? Especially with the announcement of Robinson,
yes,
being suspended for the first 3 games.
Yeah, that official now. Yeah, Robinson, we should mention that. We kind of thought that, it was going to be 3 games all along, and they appealed, and we didn't think the appeal was going to work, and it didn't. And so that now official before the 53 came down. So he's going to be on the suspended list as Demarcus Robinson for the first 3 games of the season. So they literally have 2 help. If they played a game today, it would be Pearsall and Sky Moore. That's it. Those are the only players that could play wide receiver for them today, right now, that are on the roster.
It's wild. I'm at my kid's soccer practice last night, sitting with a bunch of other 49er fan dads, and we're talking about, okay, so who's going to start opposite Ricky Pearsall? Like, guys, really, who's it going to be week 1? We're like, oh, it's probably Gage, it's probably Chosen. And we're like, oh, that's no good. That's going to be rough. And then both of them, are cut, essentially. But, I mean, we're probably going to see one, if not both of them, back playing week 1 for the 49ers. But then you start looking around the NFL, right? And you see all these other cuts, and you see all these other named wide receivers that you've heard of that have NFL tenure that could probably come in and play week 1 for the San Francisco 49ers and maybe be better than some of these guys that we've named already.
Malachi Corley was a guy who, I saw the Jets released him, and he was a guy that we liked, pre-draft for the 49ers just because of his kind of unique Deebo Samuel-ish ability. I always add the ish part because Deebo is just so unique. But
one of one.
Malachi Corley was a guy who had like kind of similar type of capabilities.
We're 0 for all the next Debos. 100%.
We're almost 0 for with Deebo. We'll see how it works out for him in Washington.
Not only have they not been Deebo, they've been not good at all. Most of those guys, like Laviska Shenault and Malachi Corley, and I mean, you got to have some utility for your football team. And it's like the whole conversation about, are you versatile or are you a tweener? And you got to make sure, like Deebo Samuel at his prime could do both awesome. a lot of these guys can't do either very well. So you're drafting a guy who's already not a very good receiver, and you think, oh, he's versatile, he can do all these other things. He can't do anything for you if you can't get on the field and play a position.
There's like literally two guys who have been able to kind of combine to be kind of what Deebo Samuel is and do things at a decent to high level. But one is like Cordell Patterson, right? And he really turned into a running back, but still wore number 84. And I think was actually like listed as a running back. And then the other guy who I think people don't really think of this guy's name when you think of kind of like Deebo Samuel, like what he is in the NFL, but Tyreek Hill. I mean, if you watch Tyreek Hill in Kansas City, he was able to stretch the field and you saw all these explosive plays, but he was as gadgety as it gets. Now, he wasn't lining up in the I formation like they did with Deebo, but end arounds, jet sweeps, all type of things just to get the ball in his hands. The Kansas City Chiefs did a great job of that. And the Miami Dolphins do the same thing. Like he catches. I'd be curious to know who has caught more passes within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage than Tyreek Hill over the last 5 years.
I doubt anyone. I mean, you look at what the Chiefs do, though. I mean, that's kind of in their system, right? They do that with Xavier Worthy last year. It was a lot of like, let's get the ball in this guy's hands however we can do it. A lot of end arounds, a lot of jet sweeps, things like that, where they're just trying to get him the ball. Also, he could stretch the field too. So I think it kind of depends on the system, right? So are the 49ers looking for another guy like that? He's not on the roster right now, right? I mean, maybe they thought they were getting out of Ricky Pearsall, because that's a little bit, how I thought he was when they drafted him out of Florida. I was like, okay, he's going to replace Deebo. I see what they're doing here, but we haven't really seen that out of him yet. But hopefully we see a lot more out of Pearsall. I think we're going to have to this season.
We're going to see a lot of Ricky Pearsall.
Teams looking for that next quote unquote Deebo Samuel. We're leaning too much into the wide back aspect of it, as opposed to what Deebo Samuel was coming out of South Carolina. He was a terrific receiver, and he was able to do the other things. And they're looking at guys like Laviska Shenault because he doesn't do the receivery things very well. It's like, well, maybe he could be like a Deebo Samuel. It's like, well, that's not how Deebo was viewed coming out of South Carolina.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of people are getting things kind of like wrong a little bit, because they're leaning too much into the gadgety aspect of things as opposed to what Deebo was at South Carolina, which was an all-around terrific receiver who had a running back build and the ability to just hit the ball in his hands and do things. So I think that's going to start to go away. And teams are going to be like, you know what, like Deebo was just very unique. There's not another one of him.
Well, the 49ers have a new wide back. We'll talk about him next, and all the players the 49ers waived and who made it, who's on the final 53 next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. NFL season, it's coming. 53-man rosters set. You can feel the buzz. Fantasy football is here, and everyone's researching, drafting, building their championship squads. If you haven't joined a league yet, now's the time, and it's all happening on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, I'm playing Yahoo Fantasy. I'm in 2 leagues now with Wink because we got one of those new Yahoo Fantasy guillotine leagues going, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated weekly until one team is left standing. We're in Yahoo Fantasy leagues. You should be too, whether you're a first-timer or creating your millionth league. And by the way, if you're a first-timer, it's easy. The easiest way to play. You got no crew together. I mean, a lot of people got a crew and they want to go play the classic head-to-head leagues. Do that as well. There's a new draft with friends mode, but no crew, no problem. Join a public league. It's the easiest way to play. And all you got to do is go to yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl, and you can join a league right now. NFL season kicks off next Thursday, September 4th. So don't wait. Start your league now. Draft at yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. That's yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. Wink, didn't you run into some listeners this weekend?
I did. I was at a draft, East Bay Riders over here, living in the East Bay now. And yeah, shout out Jimmy. He loves you guys. He was a big fan of the pod. But hey, tip real quick. If you're out there and you're drafting this week, before the season starts, and you're a 49er fan or you're a fan of a football team, don't take that into the draft, because 7th pick of this draft that I'm helping out in over the weekend, guy took Brock Purdy. 7th pick, first round. And the commissioner lost his mind. He's like, no, No, you can't do that. Everyone's like, yes, he can. Yep, we'll take his money. Come on, guys. Don't draft with your heart.
You don't want to be the homer in your league and draft the 49ers players too high. If you have some inside knowledge, that's good. I've been telling people to draft Ricky Pearsall. He's climbing up draft boards now. You can't get him as late as you could when I was first telling people that. He's still, I think, a solid value there. And if you're new to fantasy football, I think one of the best things I can say to you is it's okay to avoid your favorite team. You're already watching your favorite team. Go enjoy the rest of the league. That's kind of the fun of it, is it makes all the other games that much more fun to watch every Sunday.
Especially if you get stressed out watching your team play. You also don't want to have that riding on it as well. You're going to double your stress factor. Don't do that.
Croc, the new wide back is Christian McCaffrey. They got the best running back duo in the NFL now with Brian Robinson in tow. Are they just going to sit him on the bench and he's going to get that one carry that Christian McCaffrey lets other running backs take in every game? Or are they going to utilize, since they got no other wide receivers, Christian McCaffrey more as a wide receiver this season? He is the wide back because he actually can do both.
I think we've thought of a lot of different ways for the 49ers to do a lot of different things, and they never do it. They do what they're comfortable with. And I think Kyle Shanahan is just comfortable with running Christian McCaffrey 20 times a game. Now, I think if you just ask him right now, he's on the podium, like, he'd tell you all the right things. Yeah, we plan on using Brian Robinson, and we plan on spelling Christian McCaffrey. We want to save him for the postseason. But let him get in the tight game against the Los Angeles Rams and see how many carries Robinson gets. It's going to be a heavy dosage of Christian McCaffrey to make sure that he wins that game. And I think with how the 49ers defense is kind of shaping out, and just a lot of young guys, I don't know if they're going to just get these stops that fans are used to the 49ers getting. So in a scenario where the 49ers have to put up more points, well, what better way to put up more points than to ride your best player on offense, which is Christian McCaffrey.
So getting back to the players that were waived, those players on rookie contracts that have to pass through waivers for the 49ers to get an opportunity to sign them back to the practice squad or sign them back to the roster. And, potentially some of these players could get claimed by other teams. And I think the 49ers could potentially claim some players that were waived by other teams as well. Already mentioned the two biggest shockers, I think, on this list is Nick Zakelj and undrafted free agent rookie defensive lineman Sebastian Valdez. I thought both of those guys were a better chance than not that they would make the team. And I think there is an opportunity that those guys could get snapped up, especially Valdez being a rookie and putting on some really solid tape out there. And to be honest with you, outplaying some of the guys that were drafted ahead of him. Speaking of that, Junior Bergen, wide receiver, return man, was waived by the San Francisco 49ers, as was T.O.'s son, Tariq Owens. Really cool to see Tariq Owens get that touchdown. I was hoping that Jerry Rice's kid, Brendan Rice, was going to get a touchdown too in that game. He was also waived by the Chargers yesterday, whenever it was that he was waived. I think he was waived a day early. Braden Willis, tight end, also waived. Drake Nugent, undrafted offensive lineman from last year. Jalen Mahoney, Jalen Graham, safety and linebacker. Dallas Flowers, I think it's a mild upset that he was also released because he had some return ability as well as outside corner ability, but clearly I think was outplayed, and it might have come down to Flowers versus Luter in that last preseason game. And Darrell Luter was awesome and won that final job. So Dallas Flowers has been waived by the 49ers, as has defensive back Derek Canteen, defensive lineman William Bradley King, undrafted linebacker Stone Blanton. A couple other quick moves here, guys, with the injured list. Yetur Gross-Matos was activated off the PUP list. Kevin Givens officially put on injured reserve. He's done for the year, as is cornerback Jacob Robinson. And then you have Brandon Ayuk and Malik Mustafa that are on the reserve/physically unable to perform list. Those guys can come back later on in the season. NFI list for Curtis Rourke. He's probably going to miss the entire year. Rookie 7th round quarterback, and I think they knew it was going to be a redshirt year for him. And then on the suspended list, it's Isaac Alarcon and wide receiver Demarcus Robinson. So that is all the moves that the 49ers made. Again, any other highlight names from that list before we start talking about who actually made the 53?
No, I know we're big surprises. I mean, I think you mentioned them. I would have loved to have seen Robinson make the team, but when you're carrying so many defensive linemen and offensive linemen, you got to make room somewhere else.
Yeah, and so let's get into that because there's certain positions where they're clearly going to add somebody back, and there's certain positions that they're a little bloated right now that we might see some movement potentially still. And I think if you were a bubble player, you probably still don't feel super safe. And usually there's one guy that makes the 53, and then the next day gets released because they claimed somebody and they find out they got somebody on waivers or whatever. So there's still some opportunity there. For some of these guys to be on the practice squad that they think are on the 53 or not make the team at all. So we'll get into a little bit more of that next, the moves that will be made, and a quick look at this initial final 53-man roster for the San Francisco 49ers in 2025 next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. NFL season, it's almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I think that's the most I've ever seen. $300 in bonus bets, and all you got to do is win that first $5 bet. And FanDuel always keeps it exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick and easy, and add a little more juice to your Sundays, whether you're betting on the 49ers weekly, any other games weekly. They've got every game for all 17 games of the schedule already. The lines are already up, and you can bet on those games at FanDuel. Tons of prop bets for the season, not only for NFL football, but for college football and every other sport out there. There's already draft props out there for the NFL draft for next April, if you're that kind of a sicko. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Get $300 in bonus bets. All right, 49ers 53-man roster. They're going with 2 quarterbacks for now. They're going to bring a quarterback onto at least the practice squad, potentially even claim somebody waived. So that's definitely a position to look out for. They're going to bring somebody in from the outside at quarterback. And who that is, I don't exactly know right now, but there's a lot of candidates out there. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments who you think that quarterback should be. But there's going to be a quarterback on at least the practice squad for the 49ers to supplement Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, who are the quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. Running backs, it's no surprise what that looks like now that we've seen which players were cut, after the Brian Robinson trade guys. At running back, we got Christian McCaffrey, Brian Robinson. Isaac Guerendo kind of drops down to the number 3 role. He might be a kickoff returner is the most you're going to see from him potentially early in the season. He's a little bit banged up as well. And Jordan James is the 4th running back. Still an interesting player to me. Might not even be suited up earlier in the season until he's fully healthy because Guerendo is going to get the special teams work and be the number 3 back. But I don't think that's the last we're going to hear from Jordan James this season. Of course, fullback Kyle Juszczyk. And then we'll talk about those wide receivers really quick as well. Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, Jordan Watkins, Sky Moore, Jacob Cowing. And again, as I mentioned, only Ricky Pearsall and Sky Moore are healthy enough to suit up right now. The 49ers are going to add 1, maybe 2 wide receivers before the start of week 1. They almost have to. So are those players on other teams? Are those players on waivers right now? Or is that Russell Gage and Robbie Chosen are the guys that are going to be back with the 49ers at some point? And then only 3 tight ends. They cut Braden Willis, so they've got George Kittle, Luke Farrell, and I had a feeling Jake Tongas was going to make the team guys when he was lining up at fullback a lot this offseason to give them a little bit more flexibility. Your thoughts, and how do you think the 49ers should go at wide receiver? Do you think they should bring the guys back they had in camp, or do you think they should maybe go outside the organization to bring in a body?
I think it'd be extremely difficult to go out there and think that a guy could just step in and know exactly what Kyle Shanahan wants day one and be able to, take on the pressures of executing that and playing for the 49ers in meaningful snaps come week 1. So I would say they bring a guy back, a Gage or, Chosen, and at least now it could be more of a week-to-week contract as opposed to a guaranteed contract for an entire season.
Yeah, I think
they have that same handshake deal with Morstead, something similar to that to bring one of those guys back.
Yeah, if you do bring in someone else from another team, it's not for week 1, right? It's going to be for later down the road. You think you're going to need a little depth, a little veteran help. But, I mean, you look at this 53-man roster, especially this wide receiver room, And I really think that some of the guys that are on the 46-man roster come week one, the starting roster, those guys aren't even on the 53 right now. I think we probably have a handful of guys that are going to be out there that got cut today or are playing for another team. So these next couple of days are going to be really exciting if you're a real like deep hardcore football fan and you love roster builds and you're a Madden guy and this kind of thing. Like, these are your days right now.
Absolutely. And look, they kept 10 offensive linemen. And to be honest with you, I still don't think they're done there. I think guys like Austin Pleasance and Matt Hennessy might have to have their head on a swivel right now because, whether it's I'll throw a couple names out there of guys that were waived. Issa Pohl, who was an offensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, he might be somebody the 49ers value more than Austin Pleasance as a young player that they would want to claim. Cole Strange, who was the big shocker pick a few years ago in the first round of the draft by the Patriots, he was released. Is he better than Connor Colby or Matt Hennessy or even Ben Barch potentially? He started a lot of games in the NFL. The Patriots didn't want to keep him around, but would he be worthy of having over one of those players for the 49ers? So those are some names to watch there. And that's why they went so slim, I think, at positions like wide receiver and quarterback and, punter and some of these other guys that were on the bubble got cut. Linebacker only kept 5 because they wanted to make sure they had enough coverage. And I think they still have some things to play out competition wise with how they, especially on the defensive line with their rotations. The defensive line: Nick Bosa, Jordan Elliott, Mykel Williams, CJ West, Alfred Collins, Kalia Davis, Evan Anderson, Sam Ukuwanu, Bryce Huff, Robert Beal Jr., and Yetur Gross-Matos. I think Yetur Gross-Matos being healthy helps him out, or they might have just said, whatever, put him on IR, waive, injured, whatever, and gone with another player. Evan Anderson had the extra year over Sebastian Valdez. Was that the factor? I thought maybe Valdez might have outplayed him, and it would be Valdez and not Evan Anderson. Because it'd maybe be more likely that Valdez or that Anderson could get through waivers than Valdez potentially. And then Robert Beal Jr. put a nice little camp together. I think Croc, you always talk about those playing special teams, and there's a dude who's 6'4", 250 that runs 4.4, and you're like, what the hell? And so I think that's probably what saves Robert Beal Jr. as well. Maybe if he's not a big part of the rotation, he can be one of those freak of natures that run down on kicks.
I saw some people talk about him, and they're like, I think he's developing on special teams. So, I think that's exactly why the 49ers brought him back.
Linebacker, Luke Gifford, the big winner here, I think, because both Curtis Robinson and Chaz Surratt were released or waived and released. And so Fred Warner, D. Winters, Nick Martin, Luke Gifford, and Tatum Bethune are your 5 linebackers that make the squad. Luke Gifford might be your starter at strong side linebacker when the 49ers are in base. And I think the Seattle Seahawks might be a team that plays a lot of base. So there you go. Nick Martin told Matt Barrows he hasn't hardly practiced at all at any other spot but will. So I don't think the 49ers are going to put Nick Martin, the rookie, out there. Tatum Bethune has been working at middle linebacker. So Luke Gifford's kind of your only option at strong side linebacker right now.
Don't love that. I mean, he's not a bad football player, but is that the guy you want out there week one and probably going to see a lot of snaps this year? I mean, you got to find spots, right? You can't be solid at every single position, all pros. I mean, as long as he's not exposed, I think we'll be all right.
I'm feeling Curtis Robinson will make an appearance at some point as well. And I don't know how many guys will end up on IR, and they can't create, we're talking about 2 wide receivers and a punter and a linebacker and and claiming a guy. And so I don't know if they have that many roster spots that they can create for some of these players, but practice squad. And at some point during the season, they're going to need reinforcements. So we're going to hear from some of these names again, especially at these positions where they're a little bit lighter coming out of camp. Defensive backs here, Diamador Lenore and Renardo Green, and then an interesting group following that. Chase Lucas did make the roster. He played a little outside corner, a lot of nickel in camp. Upton Stout, probably if healthy, most likely to start at that nickel spot. Darrell Luter Jr. makes the squad. He was playing on all the special teams as well. And Saran Neal is how you pronounce it. He also was a core special teamer, which is why he made the roster over somebody like Dallas Flowers, I think.
I mean, I love what Lucas put on tape in the preseason. He definitely earned his spot.
He did. He earned his spot.
He was good.
I'm not shocked to see him on here, and it gives him enough, I think, flexibility with special teams and playing in the nickel, playing outside that they thought they had to keep him. Jason Pinnock, Marcus Siegel, Jair Brown, Richie Grant. Those are your 4 safeties, and then only 2 specialists right now with no punter. You got Jake Moody, who did make the team. Some people weren't sure about that one, and John Weeks. So there you go. That is your initial San Francisco 49ers 53-man roster.
Real quick on the Moody stuff.
Yeah,
Come on,
okay.
everybody's out here booing him after he misses an extra point. It's a preseason game, everybody. Just relax.
Ain't no
They don't
relaxing
trust
when
him.
the game's on the
That's
line.
what it is, Nick.
I know.
They don't trust Moody. I don't trust Moody.
How can you?
The fan base doesn't trust him. So anything he does, once the fan base loses trust in you, this is the treatment you get. And
Yeah, but
the tough thing is they're always going to
have.
have these misses stuck in their heads. I'm not sure what he can do to get back in the good graces of the fan base. He had a 59-yarder. Then the next week missed an extra point, and everybody was like, "See, that's why we don't like him."
It's ridiculous. Come on.
He kicked the ball out of bounds.
Come on.
Yeah, you're right. That was
Missed
rough.
the
Every
last
other
miss,
kick
right?
right at the goal line, though. I mean, he's been pretty money on those kickoffs. I'm just saying, relax. If he starts missing a bunch, I mean, no kicker. There's been one kicker, right, that went the whole season without missing a kick and then missed it in the NFC Championship game, Gary Anderson. So everybody misses field goals. So if he misses one and they get on him, like, that confidence is important. You got to be able to back your guy. If he's on your team, back him. If he misses 2 or 3, then maybe they start looking elsewhere.
Todd in the chat said, "That's not a wide receiver room; it's a wide receiver closet." I thought that's pretty good. That's not bad. Cut down days like Hunger Games. Here's an interesting one. I want to end here, guys. A fun fact from Yuri in the chat says the NFL has signed a deal with the biggest network in Brazil, second biggest in the world, and may even air games on free-to-air TV. Get ready for a wave of new Brazilian fans. Guys, we're already kind of big in Brazil. Shout out to all our Brazilian listeners, and we might even get a few more here. The 49ers are global, as are we. So I appreciate all the listeners out there, and shout out to our fans in Brazil, and I hope we get a lot more 49ers fans tuning in to Locked On 49ers. Great insight there from the chat tonight. People are fired up about the 49ers 53-man roster that'll no doubt be different tomorrow. So check back in. Croc and I will have it covered for you as we always do, and subscribe up to Locked On 49ers.
See you.
Can't believe it. Wow.